pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening and welcome to our meeting. I'm Jeff Martin, the Deputy Supervisor. Unfortunately, John Becker is not available tonight. He is a little under the weather. So, the first item on our agenda is to approve the minutes from the town board meeting from November 3rd. Has everyone had a chance to go over that?
If I have, I'll approve a
Motion, Tom. I have a motion from Tom. Do I have a second?
second.
Second from John B. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right, next item is our sidewalk replacement project. This is a project, we have some sidewalks and some railings and things around the town office, as well as the Parks and Recs building. We've had it designed. We went out to bid earlier. It just was a bad time. It was a tough time, so we're going back out to bid with this. We'd like to get an approval to go out to bid. The bid would be due on 1/18 at 10 a.m. The work would start in April, and it has a completion date of May 30th. John, anything else to add to this?
No, we had a resolution in package to go out to bid. You just need a motion second, and then I'll coordinate with the clerk's office for publication, posting, etc.
Right. Yeah, everything's in here, all the specs, everything that you need to get this done. So,
Correct.
can I have a motion to bid this project out? John B. has a motion, second.
I'll second that.
Tom Cott. Any further discussion?
Well needed, I know it's been.
Yeah, we would have liked to do it last fall. You're right.
I'll let you know he's falling.
Hearing no more further discussion then, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Next item is our fee schedule for codes. This is something we've been talking about for quite some time. We haven't changed our fees in many, many years, and I know we asked Larry to go through this and look carefully, compare to other towns, and make appropriate changes in this fee schedule. It's in your board packet. You've seen what we had in the past. You've got the current proposals. What's your pleasure? If you've had a chance to review it? Any comments on this?
Yeah, go ahead. No, I was online and looked like it's very reasonable. In town.
Okay.
That's what makes sort of change. Yes.
No, we started to look this over, and one of the things that we were a little concerned about was whether or not the fee schedules actually justified the amount of time that our people were putting into the projects. And I don't think we have that information in front of us yet.
Okay.
So, from my point of view, I would like to, we set it aside for a while, and I would like a chance to relook at it.
Okay. You want to get Larry in here to help explain why he came up with some of these rates too?
Well, we could do that, but I actually have worked a little bit with Larry on this.
Okay.
It just never, it started out, but it just never got stopped because of the activities we had going, possibly COVID was involved. It never really came to a final determination of where we're going to go.
All right. Well, one of the things that was suggested is we get this fee schedule cleaned up, put into a nice table format, and get it on the website. So, Beth, would you get that done for us?
Yep.
And we'll continue. Do you want to continue this, John, or do we want to vote on it tonight? What's your pleasure?
Personally, I'd be much more prepared to vote on it in our next meeting if I have a little bit more time to review.
Okay. Hearing no objection, then we're going to table this till our next meeting. This will be the agenda item for the next meeting. Blackpoint Road. Mr. Laney, where are we on that?
I will give the board an update. I've been working with the highway superintendent and the attorneys for the property owner, and the town supervisor's been involved, and I can advise you that we have exchanged proposed settlement agreements. We've exchanged proposed rights of way, and Andy has delivered a new map to me tonight, and I'm gonna share this map with opposing counsel, but They did contact me and asked that if we can hold this over for the next meeting so they can review everything. They gave me another version of the settlement agreement. I marked it up, sent it back to them. They're looking at it now. And Andy and I'll also I want Andy to sign off on it as well.
Okay. Andy, you're good with what's going on so far? Good. All right, well then, I need to entertain a motion then to continue the open hearing. Can I have a motion? John Brashevich, motion. I have a second. Tom Kopp. Any other discussion in this hearing? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. And this motion will be carried and we'll continue holding the open hearing. Next agenda item is Martin LaJudas agreement with the Wild. This is pretty much a formality. This is part of our process in getting a district development looked at and what the consequences of some of those things are. Mr. Taylor has paid for this fee. This is our contract for the town to enter in with Martin and LaJudas to review that, verify everything is good for this plan. Any other comments on that, John?
So the motion will be to authorize really Jeff in this case will be the one who's going to sign this. So make sure that's what it's going to read. It's going to be the deputy's going to sign.
All right. So can I have entertain a motion that I sign this agreement for B&L to review this Wild Campground and Banquet Faculty Project?
I'll make that motion.
I got a motion from Tom Kopp, second. John Brashevich.
I'm gonna have to do roll call.
Roll call. All right.
You spoke to him a little bit, right? The cost is $6,500, and then they may have to build more.
That's a standard now, and any of these carry, whenever they get into these agreements, that this is what they estimate the time it'll take to do the review, and but if it does continue to move on, then yes, there would be an option to charge more. That's pretty much a standard contract for these. Am I correct, Mr. Holmes?
Yes, it is. Yeah, you're correct.
Any other questions or comments?
I see the date is September 20th, so I probably should have gotten started this sooner.
We're moving on it. It's actually already, this is a formality. We need to approve this.
Yeah, we just got to check.
Yeah.
The way to go.
Yeah.
They have started.
Like
with that.
moving like
We've
this.
already encouraged them to get moving on this thing. So, any other questions, concerns? All right, roll call vote. Mr. Brashevich?
Aye.
Tom Kopp?
Aye.
Gary Ranger?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Motion is carried. Update on solar regulations. I know we had a meeting right before.
That's
Mr.
right.
Lange?
So I met with Frank and Carrie. This is not our first meeting. We have a number of meetings, and we've been involved with the exchange of drafts by email. And Carrie can also comment on this, but we've handed out a proposed draft of a number of amendments to your solar law, which we think will make it a better solar law for not only the solar companies, but certainly for town residents. And I've added in a bunch of stuff and suggestions from the committee, as well as my experience with other municipalities that we're doing this exact same thing for. And we're focusing on farmland protection of property values with large projects. We're focusing on remediation of the projects, the decommissioning of the projects, and a number of other items. So you have that in your package. I guess at this point, what I'm looking for is to have you folks take a look at it and give me the go-ahead to put it into a draft local law that can be introduced at a future meeting. And I can go ahead and start doing that. It's part of your retainer. It doesn't cost the town anything more to do this work. It's all been part of what you always pay me for, these laws. And I think it's a significant, you've got a good law already, but this is a significant improvement in terms of protections for the town. And just take some time to look through it. And I think, Carrie, one of the things you and I talked about is using cash security rather than a letter of credit or a bond. Letters of credit expire very quickly. Bonds expire very quickly. If a bond expires while a project is either incomplete or hasn't run its course, then the town is unsecured and that property owner is unsecured. So it's to everybody's benefit that you consider going to cash security on these things. And most of these, the larger companies, they have that kind of cash in order to do this, and everybody can sleep at night when you do that. I've talked to a couple other surrounding communities, and they're moving towards cash security as well. We've tightened up the decommissioning requirements, as I mentioned. John, I told you earlier that we have the provision in there that an applicant has to talk about what the impact of the surrounding property values would be. And that is not in your current law, but it could be in this law. So that's all in there. I put a section about road remediation because I've had issues with town roads getting destroyed by the equipment and the trucks that drive over it. So there'd be a separate requirement for security for that beyond just the removal of money. What else, Karen?
One of the things that we did is for a solar farm. We're thinking of 50 acre minimum. Some of the ones that we reviewed, some of the other towns were like 15. We thought 50 acres, that would create enough space to put up the solar panels, but yet still have some sort of buffer or berm. That was critical.
Setbacks.
Yep, setbacks. The setback that we were thinking is 250 feet off the road, front right. That's right, 250 off the
front yard setback.
And then the sides are like 100 feet. Again, so if they did put one up, it would not, take away from the landscape that you have. I included two that I spoke to the assessor with regard to what John brought up too with property values. And one of the things that we already have is north of Route 31 is excluded, that they would not be able to put up a solar farm there at the present time even. And if we did go to 50 acres, which we're talking about, north of 31, that would only encompass 14 properties. 14, so we're not really
missing out.
Yeah, and then included in there too are all, the back pages are all the properties that would fit 50 acres or more in the town. So, but the critical point that we're putting in there we didn't have is the cash bond. That's really important. If down the road this individual had either leased, or leased the property to a solar company, if they went under, the property owner would be liable to clean up, and the numbers would be astronomical. So they'd end up almost walking away from the property, and there's the town sitting with the cleanup fees, which is dangerous. It's a lot of money.
Another thing to remember is the town of Sullivan opted out from 487, real property tax law 487, which gets into pilot agreements. Now, I have in here as a protection, should we change that? I have pilot agreement language in here, but right now, you wouldn't get a pilot, instead it gets taxed on its value. But I also added something that we've had some success with in another community, which is called a host community benefit agreement, which is only for the town. So what happens with a pilot, if you had a pilot, typical pilot pays to the town, the school, and the county, usually based on their allocable share of a tax dollar. Jeff knows a tax dollar, given tax dollar in the town, 70% of it, maybe more, I don't know, would go to the school. Town ends up getting just 15 or less percent of that tax dollar. County gets more. So the host community agreement is another way for the town to see a direct benefit for actually hosting the project, because the impacts of the project go to the town, the highway department, to the town board members dealing and addressing with residents, to the planning board that has to address all stuff. And we've had good success with negotiating these with developers. So we've been negotiating these, and on average, the number to the town ends up being very close to what the school district gets, but it's a direct payment. Town would still get a payment if we had a pilot, but in this case, the town would just get regular taxes. There's legislation on the books now, or that's pending right now, that says the state's going to set how they tax these projects, and it's going to be lower than maybe it would be otherwise.
That was going to be one of my next questions. Some of those big megawatt solar farms that they're proposing, how much is this going to affect that, or are we going to have any control over that?
The big ones,
Big ones,
20 megawatts and higher, will be cited through the state siting authority, which is handpicked by the governor, and they will take over. We have the ability to participate in the process, and we can show them what our law says and what we're concerned about. But they set all the rules. There's a pending lawsuit going on right now which has been temporarily dismissed, but there's an appeal happening on that. So some towns sued the state over the citing process. It got dismissed a few weeks ago, and I have a lawyer that's tracking that in my office right now, and I'm told that the appeal is either being filed because they're within the 30 days or has been filed on it. And so, you know, we don't know where that's going to go. But either way, you want the strongest regulations you can have in place depending on what happens. And in a couple other places, we've added language that says that no matter what, our regulations apply. Now, the state and maybe the large solar companies will say, well, no thanks, we're going to take a different position. We can deal with that down the line, but we've got to have these regulations in place.
Okay. Carrie, Carrie's been doing a tremendous amount of work on this. Where are we in this process? Are we ready to come up
We're
with a
ready to
logo?
go. As long as you guys are comfortable, we're ready to go. This law that's drafted, it's fairly strong. It's not as strong as CAS, but it's fairly strong. And I'd rather be safe than kind of sorry.
Yeah, I kind of agree. And so John, can we have this law drafted up for our December 1st
We can
meeting?
introduce it at your next meeting.
And then do the public hearing in the,
Yeah, either that meeting or the January meeting.
okay.
Yeah.
I'd like to get in there somehow.
Yeah.
We'll
I
make
kinda
every
would
effort
too.
to do it at the December meeting.
If we can do it in
All
December, I'd love
All you
that.
have to do is look this over.
Yeah.
If there's something you say it may.
We'll need the county to help us a little bit, just gotta get
Try to
rid
work
of
on
it.
it.
We're gonna have to turn it around quickly.
I think one, but nothing huge.
Yeah, I'd like to get this local law in place and get it published and get it on next month's agenda. So, Don, make sure that's on John's agenda next month.
As I said to these guys, if you see something that you don't like, just email it, and then we'll do it.
Yeah, I'm hoping that we're pretty much down to the fine details, and there shouldn't be much change. I really.
Yes.
If you're good to go, then that'll help us a lot.
Thank you.
All right, any other updates on the solar regulations?
That's it.
If not, before we get into the budget mods, we have an employee that needs to be, or would like to be approved here from this board. We approved some budget mods so that the courts could hire some extra clerks. They've interviewed, they've suggested Susan Evans be hired, would be for Scott Malicki's office, as for $15 an hour, up to 20 hours per week, so they can stay within their budget. I have a motion to approve this new employee.
I'll make that.
Tom Cott moves it, second.
Second.
John Burchevich, second.
Start date? What was the start date?
That is a good question. Beth, do you have a start date?
Tomorrow.
Okay.
Like you guys are approving tonight, they want her to start tomorrow.
Didn't he
Okay.
say January 1?
Pardon me?
Didn't he tell us, remember, January 1?
Yeah, you guys did the budget modification and told both of them a budget time, they can hire part-timers now, and that's why we moved the 2,000 over for them.
You're all right for that?
Button got one, so this is Willoughby's,
Yeah, that was a budget mod, so they've got the money.
correct.
They need the help.
What I've heard is, I talked with Dave Eckelin, and he said there's a big need for it. They're getting deluged with phone calls.
Okay.
So maybe, hopefully it'll put in some money too. I don't know about that down the road.
Maybe these people
I
trying
talked
to
with
pay
Dave earlier today.
You guys are meeting with them in
It's
June
a big
or
need
May,
for it, but that's for what it's.
right? The judges, you're meeting with them in June or May to go over everything, the cases, right?
Yeah, I think we
I
talked
think
about
we
that.
told them we wanted to see them back in June or May.
Yeah.
Look at the numbers.
Just make sure we don't forget that. All right, any further discussion then on this motion? All in favor, say aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Budget mods. I have two budget mods here. Number one is transferring $4,785 from contingent A1990.4 to A8510.401. It's, I think it's to help wrap up this community beautification. It was for some landscaping to finish up this GIG project.
Actually, it was to clean it back out.
Clean it back out.
Yeah, it was full of weeds and
Clean it back out,
unwanted
and then
plants.
we budgeted next year for landscaping, so hopefully in the spring she'll start right out, and you won't get in that position again. You spend all that money and nobody looked at it or touched it, and it looked terrible.
Okay.
That's a big
Yeah,
question.
because
I have a question.
Fire department.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, Andy.
So I don't know the exact address, but the gentleman took a weed eater to everything that was put in.
In front of his house.
Yeah, just completely destroyed everything that was in front of his house.
After she
Sure.
did this work?
No, right before.
Oh,
Shortly
But,
before.
I mean, literally destroyed the landscaping. There's no, I mean, it's not growing back. It's destroyed. Do you have any repercussion or something like that? For
That
somebody
would be a
to do
good
that?
question. John?
It was in the public right away, part of the project?
Oh, yeah. It was in the,
Do we have pictures of before and after?
I have before.
We get the before, you can certainly
I
get the
can
after.
you on after. I
I
went
definitely
down
have
and looked
the
at it.
Yeah, Can somebody get us pictures of that?
Yeah, I can get
Have them send me the before and
Yeah.
after,
We have the.
address and
the-
name for the people.
We have the other property, the gentleman
They cut the tree,
pulled it right out.
Pulled it out.
yeah, pulled the tree out,
He said it obstructed his view getting,
Yeah.
pulling in and
which
out.
that is, incorrect, because I went down there and back in the driveway and it wasn't obstructing any view.
In the public right away?
Yes, yes, part of this project.
All right, well, before we move on to our further discussion, we have a motion then for this transferring of this money.
I'll make it.
We got a motion from Carrie, second from
Second.
John Brushevich. Any further discussion? Yes, Carrie?
I'll make it a point to, when it gets close to spring, see if we can get some help down there a little bit, just to make it, keep the bill of trying to keep it up.
yeah, but I think
Down.
it's a good point to bring up though, if you've got people, if we're gonna keep replenishing it, people are gonna keep weeding it,
Yeah.
we have to do something down there.
I'll try to get down there and just,
Maybe some citing of some notices or something to the public and,
I just,
if happens again,
in a positive note, we had a lot of rain and it did what it was supposed to do.
yeah,
It
that
really
was the
did,
whole
Andy.
point of that, was drainage.
It definitely took the water, and especially those huge rainfalls we had. It took it.
Good.
And
Good.
held its own. So it definitely is.
That was the whole intent of almost $1 million project we did down there.
Well,
And to make it look
It was
nice.
drainage.
Sure.
No, it was drainage, you try to do drainage and then to dress up the drainage, so as long as the drainage held, that's making progress.
But
down
if
there.
I have a little bit of luck, I can possibly get a little bit of volunteer work next year, just to keep the bill down. I'll try.
Okay.
I know volunteer is a terrible word today.
Yeah.
All right, any further discussion? Okay, all in favor of the transferring of 4785? Say aye. All opposed? Motion is carried. The second budget modification is transferring $7,000 from SM 1990.4 to contingent to SM 3410.4008 North Chittenango Fire Company as they ran over their 2021 budgeted amount as of November 3rd, 2021. Can I have a motion?
When does discussion come?
It comes after we do a motion.
I have a motion, I'll make a motion
I have a motion.
I'll second it.
All right, and a second by Carrie. Discussion.
This one is for Beth. They didn't file any claim when they damaged that truck, and then we
Oh, I got 'em.
assisted them.
Yes.
Does that
I got
money
them.
come back?
No,
Okay.
correction on that, I got them, that claim was filed,
Yeah,
they got $16,000, it's in that report there that I gave you, $16,525.85 from the insurance company that was put back in their budget.
and they still exceed it.
Correct. So conversations and maybe had at a board level with some people,
Well, Dennis isn't even here tonight.
correct, I thought he was
Just
coming,
Discouraging.
right?
Yeah.
Because I'd like to know how we focus on departments staying within the budgets. We've said it a lot of times, and we get it when it goes over, but this is kind of early with no notification.
Correct, and I ran the checks, so I'm holding the checks that I ran in November. Now, he states that you had other equipment money to give to other departments, but you knew ahead of time that those other departments wanted excess equipment out of that, and it was discussed. See what I'm saying?
Well, that's,
So
that,
for me to find this after a check run, when I'm running reports, he could have even not said, hey, take a look at this before you run them. That
Kinda like to
conversation's
know-
not yet.
how he keeps track of the spending.
He gets his reports every month, they see it.
But how did the, then, Okay, but it went over.
I don't have an answer for you.
Okay.
I'm not the person spending the money. Keep in mind, when I pay the bills and when I get the bills, it's already done.
Okay.
It's already done, and I'm just looking at an after the fact situation. So maybe you wanna have a little,
Yeah, I would
wanna
have
put
loved
this
to have a
through and
conversation.
have a conversation with him, or do you wanna wait on this?
Well, so my question is legally, John, where are we on this? This has been spent. You can't release these checks. you're
I'm not
telling me?
releasing the checks, and I'm have bills for December that I'm not releasing. He has, also his utilities to pay. Correct. So he's got 2 months out there, so.
Yeah, go ahead, John.
A conversation probably would be good, but did everybody have a chance to see Dennis, his definition of where the overages came from in the packet that we had?
I haven't, to be honest, I have not looked at it. I would have liked to know before though.
True.
That, I guess, and this is an opportunity to say, hey, at least give us some heads up so we can know that we're gonna ask for a budget transfer before the cows or the horses are out of the barn, that's all. And I wish he was here to at least, maybe we could encourage him to do a better job of keeping track of how these
I think
things go.
that's a wise
They should be.
idea.
They should. What would be the consequences if we don't approve this?
Well, you'll owe it, so it's been incurred.
These people go out, that's why they get these titles, they go out and they purchase things and do business in the name of the town of Sullivan. With honoring those budgets, and they know that at the time that they take these positions, whether it's elected, employee, volunteer, you know, you have a budget. It's just like all the rest of us, every single other person has to stay within their budget and operate as such. But at this point in time, with this particular situation, these expenses are incurred. It's already done.
All 7,000 are incurred?
$4,557.07 has been incurred. He's got fuel coming up, Time Warner coming up, and an annual compressor bill coming up.
And the 7,000 is what he's estimating to get through the end of the year.
12/31, correct.
What's a church bell fire, what was that? Truck? Truck that had.
That was the truck, that was that truck he did all that work on, the Churchill fire.
I'm concerned with 2022.
That's what I'm saying, maybe a little meeting with, some conversations you want with.
105 is, we budgeted 105, and
Correct. I mean, $100,000 budget is,
what
for
if
a
we,
department, there's nothing to sneeze at.
if you add 7395, what was his budget for 2021? Remember? I can't
Yes, I
remember.
do.
Was it 100?
Mhm.
100, right? We're on that.
Just curious, this year, what do we do, 110?
105.
105.
And just out of respect to the other departments that asked for that money,
And to all the other employees and all the other departments of the town of Sullivan, correct?
just out of respect to the other department that asked for the money, they brought in a quote and said, can we do it and get this extra money?
Correct.
It's not,
And it was
Dumped in
discussed
your
ahead of time, correct?
it wasn't put in your lap later,
Correct.
just out of defense for the others.
Did you have your read? Did you have your read?
I did, yeah. I see the repairs of the overage.
Because,
Yeah.
I know Dennis isn't here right now, but
I know, I just wish that we could
I
have
wish he
had
was.
conversations and say, okay,
I said the minute, it said about, everybody was sent out to us, he was gonna be here.
thought he was gonna be here. Yeah. I would have loved to hear.
I would have
what
called him.
The cause
I didn't
is,
see that.
out of respect for the other departments, we hold them to that standard, and I would love to hear, hey, what's going on, and maybe next time, we really need to know before, so that we can plan. I know we have contingent, yeah.
Why don't you, if you want to hold this, if you have more comfort level to hold this, I'll still hold the checks, and you can do it in December. And
It's
have
up to the board.
conversations with him ahead of time.
We gotta pay it anything, right?
I do, I would be holding everything until that time.
I hate to do that to vendors, you know
It's a
that,
vendor serving, right, at this point,
especially right now.
correct?
Every dollar is a dollar. Well, tomorrow it would not be a dollar.
Would you want to modify so that we can pay what we have outstanding? And then make sure on December 1st, we have another conversation before we approve any additional commitments? What do you think?
modify and say pay the vendors, or pay what's due?
What would catch us up, Beth?
$4,757.07.
So I'd entertain a motion then to modify this
For the 47.
motion for that amount.
Want to ask you a question, please?
Well,
What does that incur to you? Does that create more work for you?
It all does. You betcha.
okay.
You betcha.
Maybe we don't wanna,
No, that's okay.
That's
Why
why
don't
I'm
you
asking.
do that? And because you're gonna do he's got utilities, he's got this
it's
coming up.
only, what's the difference of $3,000?
Totally your call, you guys.
That's
Whatever
right.
you're comfortable
It's
with.
whatever you wanna do. So if you don't wanna make the motion, we'll vote on the 7,000 as amended, as presented.
That would be what I put forth.
Okay,
So that, we already have a motion from Tom, second by Carrie, for the full amount.
and we don't have any type of budget mod, or any other type of motion modification, so at this point, that's what's on the table.
And then we request he's here next meeting.
There we go.
The full amount is what the motion was for, you'd have to amend the motion to reduce it.
All right, at this point, I don't have a motion to reduce, unless I hear other discussion. Okay, is there any further discussion, Tom?
I'll make a motion to reduce it to $4,757.07.
So Tom's making a motion to amend the original resolution for the full amount to down to the, I just crossed it out, 4,007.
5707.
So you would need a second for
Do I have a
that.
second?
Second.
Okay, we have a second by John Rashevich. Discussion on the amended motion.
Please ask him to come in 1st of December or whatever the meeting is. That's all I ask.
Well,
I should get before that.
he's gonna need it.
You
in
wanna
order
talk
get
to him
the
earlier?
additional.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
I think we do. I agree, but I think we need to get him in here and say, hey,
I'll work on it.
all right, then if there's no further discussion, we'll vote on the amended motion.
Correct.
And so, all in favor of the amended
You
motion?
can do this one by roll
Yeah,
call.
roll call, all right then, so, John B.,
Yes, aye.
Tom Cott,
Yes.
Carrie Rashevich,
Uh-oh.
Carrie Ranger.
Oh.
It's okay, I'll get the hang of this. Carrie Ranger, he's going to Disney, you wanna be his son. And, I'm an aye. All right, so the motion to pay our current bills has been approved.
So we're doing a budget modification for the 5707.
Correct.
Okay, good. Thank you.
And we can keep our vendors happy, and we'll get Dennis in here to make sure we understand what he needs on a go-forward basis to finish out this year.
Maybe you can even hold off on the annual compressor until January.
Correct.
Yeah, that's the kind of questions
Software
I'd like to
updates
know.
and just pay his utilities.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's an inspection on that.
I'll save you 1,200 right there.
Yep.
All right, I don't have any firefighter applications. Andy, did you have anything?
I have nothing. You go.
Anything else from anyone else here? All right, I do have a personnel issue that will need to have recommendations from our lawyer. There will be no action taken after, but I'd entertain a motion to go into executive session.
And that's to discuss a particular employee's work.
So moved.
I have a motion to go into executive session from John. Tom is second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Beth, I would like you to
And
stay.
we invited Beth.
Okay.
Beth is invited in on this.
I can do that check.